I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that
The greatest of all time.
Terence "Bud" Crawford sent a pointed message toward Floyd Mayweather after surprising the boxing world with a win over Canelo Alvarez. He stated his goal is to improve the legacy a fighter leaves behind, not the statistics or wealth, but the long-term impact. Floyd made it clear he wasn't willing to let his reputation be questioned. He responded sharply in interviews, downplayed Crawford's victory, and outlined why he still views himself as the greatest of all time. This moment is about more than just one fight. There's a larger meaning behind it. A struggle over boxing history has begun. Crawford currently sits at number 1 pound for pound, while Floyd still holds an undefeated record, bigger pay-per-view success, and wider fame. Now, their reputations seem to be heading toward a direct clash. Let's break it down.
Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's moving weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather is really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay, and it would have been hard for Mayweather to counter maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, it's, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
Return to Las Vegas to understand the reason behind Crawford's statement. When he faced Canelo Alvarez on September 13th, he moved up 2 divisions, giving away size, and most observers in boxing expected him to be defeated. Instead, he controlled the fight with his skill, handled Canelo's power, and delivered the more effective shots. With that performance, he became the first fighter ever to achieve a flawless record across 3 weight divisions.
You said something about what fighters go through, and you've seen enough guys that the game is taken from. It's a hard game to get through. Can you get a better ending than tonight? I mean, really?
Not at all. Not at all. This is the top of the top. Canelo is, an all-time great. Like I said before, he's the last one.
He was the A side of the age.
There's no more Canelos,
So-
there's no more. So, when you look around, you say, I'm the Canelo, I'm the face of boxing now. I'm the best pound for pound fighter in the world. Like I always been, just gotta wait and see.
It went beyond a simple victory. It marked a historic moment, one that reshapes how people discuss the sport.
They keep up with him. He was too fast. His feet, footwork was too good.
Do you think the scores was right on, or do you think maybe it was a little more towards Bud?
What were the scorecards?
115, 113, 116, 112.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah?
I feel like Bud damn near basically won every round. So
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about right. You can say that.
Now, with this accomplishment, Keyshawn, is he on the Mount Rushmore of
Hell yeah.
boxers?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah?
3-time undisputed. He just beat Canelo.
Yeah.
The face of boxing. So now you can say Bud is the face of boxing.
Greatest of all time, or?
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it can never be one great, but he definitely one of the greatest of all time for sure.
Supporters weren't only calling Bud the top pound-for-pound fighter anymore. The conversation shifted to whether he might surpass Floyd. That's when the tension rose. Floyd built his image on being untouchable, Money Mayweather, and his undefeated legacy. But Crawford's dominant performances have been so convincing that Floyd's standing is now being questioned.
You're backed by arguably one of the greatest of all time, right?
what are we rating ourselves on? What are we rating on?
Okay.
What we gonna know? In the least amount of fights, I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights,
Yes, you did.
who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that,
The greatest of all time.
okay.
All right.
That's why Crawford spoke so boldly. He said he would elevate the legacy left behind, knowing he's challenging not just Floyd, but the narrative Floyd has built over decades. When Crawford said he could damage Floyd's reputation, he wasn't talking about a physical matchup in the ring. He was addressing the bigger picture, the story itself. Floyd spent his entire career maintaining control. He decided when to face Pacquiao. He chose the timing for De La Hoya. He fought Canelo while still developing. Fans never really had a reason to question him.
These fights they're doing the shoulder roll, you see? I mean, yeah. And not knocking the guy that paved the way. And I want to come on record and say, I'm appreciative for guys like Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. So many guys that paved the way for me. But there's only one Floyd Mayweather. These fighters are not better than me. You look at the numbers, they say, oh, Canelo may end up beating more world champions than Floyd Mayweather. Wait, he should? With almost, 80 and 90 fights, he should? Mm-hmm. I beat more world champions than any fighter in history. I'm 50-0, but half of my fights was world title fights.
Crawford stands apart from the rest, showing a willingness to take a different path each time. He didn't wait for Spence to decline, he faced him at his peak and dominated. Then, instead of catching Canelo later in his career, he met him while he was still on top at super middleweight and came out on top.
To be Chris Eubank's trainer, first of all.
It feels good, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been this trainer before, so.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a no-brainer.
Of course. Congratulations on the win. What's your first reactions to Crawford's victory? One of the greats of this era, right?
Oh, definitely that. You know that.
What do you want to see him do now?
What I want to do now?
What do you want to see Crawford do next?
He has this point now in his career where he can do whatever he wants to do.
Who would you like to see him fight? Any names? Is there any names in particular you'd like to see?
It doesn't matter.
What about Canelo? Would you like to see him retire?
I don't. Canelo's not my responsibility.
Okay.
That carried a clear message. He's the fighter willing to take risks others never attempted. In his view, that's what will define how their careers are judged side by side.
Emotional afterward. Is it that you just realized everything that you achieved, the moment just hit you then?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's just, the history, behind the sport is just everything that, I trained for my whole life. It all was, coming out that one night. That was all paying off. You have a lot of people that, adopted this narrative that Terence Crawford can't sell, Terence Crawford is not marketable, and they push the narrative to the public, and that's all people write about. Oh, Terence Crawford can't do this, Terence Crawford can't do that. But anyone in Terence Crawford fights, you see a sold out crowd, but they wasn't talking about that. They was talking about how, marketable I'm not, and that kind of was hurting my career because, a lot of people was looking at me and said, oh yeah, they said he's not marketable. Oh, they said he's not, don't have a personality, things like that, because I didn't want to do things their way. I didn't want to put on a show. I didn't want to disrespect my opponents when they wasn't disrespecting me. Right. I wasn't, I'm not a guy that, wear jewelry for no reason. Just the things that I didn't want to do that they wanted me to do. They go out there and say, oh, well, they lost money on me. It's just crazy though to see me headline, not one of the largest attending fight in American history. In American history.
For Crawford, building a legacy is about more than staying undefeated. It's about who he faced, when those fights happened, and the way he handled them. From his perspective, that's what gives him the right to question Floyd standing at the top. Floyd, however, didn't stay silent. In true Mayweather fashion, he brushed off Crawford's victory. He argued that Canelo wasn't at his best, claimed Bud's resume still didn't match his own, and insisted that beating a few elite opponents doesn't qualify anyone for TBE. He reminded everyone that he finished 50-0, dominated the biggest stages in boxing, and was never truly solved inside the ring. From Floyd's point of view, Crawford isn't rewriting history, he's simply standing in his shadow. What stood out most was Floyd downplaying him entirely, treating him as irrelevant to his legacy. He made it clear that whenever greatness is discussed, his name always leads the conversation. In his eyes, his status is untouchable, something others can only try to replicate, not replace.
There's no fighter that will ever be better than me. There's no fighter that wasn't better than me before me or after me or when I'm long gone.
But the truth is, the discussion is genuine. Floyd's legacy rests on discipline and consistency, 50 wins, 0 losses, never truly beaten. He performed at the highest level when it mattered most, ruled the pay-per-view era, and helped turn boxing into a billion-dollar industry.
Like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Oh, yes. That makes a difference.
Crawford's standing comes from a willingness to chase greatness without hesitation. He has become an undisputed champion in 3 divisions and a 5-division title holder, and he secured back-to-back wins over Spence and Canelo at 38. He shows no signs of fear or uncertainty, operating with complete control. At the heart of this legacy debate sits a deeper contrast: security against risk, financial success versus pure greatness, and caution versus bravery.
When I set my sights on doing something, and I know what I'm capable of, it's not like a surprise to me. It's a surprise to y'all because y'all didn't believe me, you know? But for me, I knew I could do it, and I believed that I could do it. I just needed the opportunity.
Terence, when did you know that you were going to beat him over here on your left?
When he signed the contract.
He seemed to focus mostly on body punches, and you were hitting him in the head a lot. Was it your reach that gave you the advantage?
It was everything. You know, he wasn't hitting the body or anything. He was hitting my elbow because I was blocking it. But, you know, I think I was the better man tonight.
Floyd has always maintained that he was the most intelligent in the ring and also the most courageous when it mattered. What Crawford said struck a nerve because, for Floyd, his position in boxing history matters even more than his earnings.
The Crawford-Canelo fight, and you had a Cavs hat on. This time you've got a GOAT hat on. Is that how you're feeling? I know it says Muhammad Ali, but is that how you're feeling about Bud's performance, about his whole career?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that way, man. GOAT. Greatest of all time, man. You gotta give it to him. You gotta give it to him. You gotta give it to his coaches. Not just me, Saul Red, Bernie, Chet, nutritionists, you know, everybody played a part.
Canelo said he's way better than Mayweather. What do you think to that?
Who, Terence?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course he is.
Pay attention, Floyd doesn't react like that unless he feels challenged. At this moment, Crawford isn't only collecting victories in the ring, he's also gaining widespread admiration. He currently holds the top pound-for-pound position. This is the fighter who defeated Canelo when almost nobody believed it could happen. Many analysts, former champions, and rising stars now refer to him as one of the greatest fighters ever.
That if he beats Canelo, it could put him as even the greatest of all time. What does that put him in the all-time list, man?
At least top 10.
At least
top
10?
10 or top 15,
yeah.
Easily, you know? There's guys that we may not know of or heard of, like Henry Armstrong. Simultaneously, he was 3 divisions carrying all 3 weight divisions at the same time.
Which performance was better? I don't like to compare them, but Crawford or Mayweather's over Canelo. Like, it's just different.
It's just different styles, different looks, you know? But the punching, the output that he was giving Canelo, definitely gave him the win.
On top of that, the numbers speak for themselves. The Netflix event packed out the arena, went viral across the globe, and delivered some of the highest boxing viewership scenes since Mayweather vs. Pacquiao.
You gotta put the 5 up.
Who? Who's 5?
Robinson is the greatest.
Who?
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Man,
That's
niggas
correct.
ain't even see that.
I YouTube him, nigga. I YouTube. He on YouTube. Check YouTube.
It was buns.
Nah, it's like
buns. It was buns.
Sugar Ray Robinson is buns. No, you're right. We're not saying it back. Listen, it's like this. It's like this. It's like
boxing has evolved, bro.
It has, but I'm saying.
And Sugar Ray Robinson didn't even know how to pick his hands up.
Hold up, it's like
Go
this.
back to fight Jake LaMotta. He was hitting that nigga with non-stop hooks.
But you're not counting like this. That's like saying Will Chamberlain. That's like saying Will Chamberlain is not that. If you dominate in the era where you're doing shit that nobody does in the era, nobody was doing that.
Will Chamberlain, did they have a 3-point line?
No.
Oh, I don't want to hear about him.
He scored 100 points.
No,
it don't matter what he did. 100 of these, nigga. 100 of these.
That's ass.
Nah, you gotta stop it.
That's ass.
That's why Floyd responds the way he does, not because Bud disrespected him directly, but because Crawford has shifted the spotlight. Bud is now headlining, dominating pound-for-pound discussions, and becoming the main attraction in boxing. For the first time since retirement, people are even debating what Floyd would do in that situation, questioning whether Crawford has surpassed him. But the twist is that Crawford never actually chased Floyd. He has always shown respect for Mayweather, even calling him one of the greats. He's trained around him and has acknowledged his influence. At no point has he needed Floyd's approval or validation. That's what makes this situation unique. Crawford's stance isn't about power or money. It's about honesty in how he sees greatness, choosing risk, courage, and achievement over comfort or reputation protection. From his perspective, fighting Floyd now doesn't add anything meaningful to his career, especially with Floyd long retired and far removed from his prime. There's no competitive gain in it, which is why the idea doesn't really appeal to him. In the end, Crawford's focus stays on legacy and accomplishment, not manufactured fights or legacy debates built on nostalgia.
Situation, guys. No one has ever been a 4-division champion in boxing. Not a real one. Oh, that guy won 8 and Oscar De La Hoya won 11 and this one won 15. No, I'm talking about Ring Magazine champ or lineal champ. You are the champion of that division. Forever, the record was 3 by Henry Armstrong. Manny Pacquiao was the first dude to really win 4. Floyd gets credit for 4 for beating Canelo, but that wasn't at the junior middleweight limit. I don't count that. I don't count that. Terence Crawford just joined Manny Pacquiao as the only legit 4-division champion in the history of boxing. And he did it by jumping middle. He became lightweight, junior welter, then he won a belt at junior middle, not the whole championship, and then skipped middle to fight Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed, for the Ring Magazine super middleweight championship of the world, and left no doubts, including with Canelo, who was all class after the fight but knew what had just happened.
That's the core of the whole debate. Terence Crawford essentially told Floyd Mayweather that he could redefine the legacy people remember him by. Floyd didn't take that lightly. He came back strongly, downplayed Crawford's win, pointed to his own 50-0 record, and stood firm that nobody ever solved him in the ring. So now the conversation turns into something bigger. What stands out more in history, Floyd's flawless record and perfection at the top level, or Crawford's reputation built on risk-taking and stepping into challenges most fighters avoided? That's the question fans are left with.